Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while, for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. Alright, so we are in the 2012 off-season, and there's actually a few things that are pretty interesting that happen, so kind of excited to share that. Now, one thing that is not really interesting is that I'm kept at contracts again. So, of course, I didn't re-sign everybody, but with the additions on July 1st of players that automatically join me and the signing of all of my rookies that are 20, I am back at 50 contracts again, so I'm not gonna have any wiggle room to pick up players, and as you will see soon, there's one I wish I could pick up on waivers right now. I'm gonna have to pass. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get into that. So there's been one trade in June between the Stanley Cup champions Chicago Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Matt Cook is going to Pittsburgh. Look at that, with Akim Aliu. And Dustin Jeffrey and Reed McNeil are going to the Blackhawks. So if you look at solely the potential, I think that Dustin Jeffrey is the best player, but, you know, Matt Cook is Matt Cook, of course, as a Sens fan. I remember Matt Cook playing for Pittsburgh, cutting Erik Karlsson's tendon, Achilles tendon, so, yeah, not a big fan of Matt Cook. So, funny enough, he ends up in Pittsburgh around the same time that he was there in real life, too. So, funny how things work out sometimes. Now, there's been kind of a carousel of coaching, or maybe a dance of coaching changes and everything. We're going to see a lot of the same names as usual. However, there's been a pretty interesting signing that anyway, you'll see. I thought it was pretty interesting. So first, the Toronto Maple Leafs fired Mike Sullivan, so not the coach there anymore, and he's replaced by former Ottawa Senator coach Alain Vigneault. So then Neil Smith is not the GM for the Rangers anymore. He is being replaced by Mike Gillis. And then Mike Gillis decided to get his own guy behind the bench, so he fired Peter Laviolette as the coach, and he replaced him with Mike Babcock. So Babcock back as a coach, this time with the Rangers. And then when Phoenix saw that, they fired Paul Holmgren as the coach, and they replaced him with Peter Laviolette. Now, that's the interesting thing that I saw here. So, San Jose decided to get rid of their GM, which was Jay Feaster. So, he lost his job. And Brett Hull is going to replace him as the GM of the Sharks. So, I find that interesting. Brett Hull in real life didn't, get a GM job at all. So, I find it very interesting that Brett Hull is going to be the guy in charge of putting the Sharks together. Alright, and then, Tampa Bay saw that Toronto fired Mike Sullivan, so they decided to fire Brent Sutter as the coach there, and they replaced him with Mike Sullivan. So the dance of coaching changes there. Then I was offered a deal I could not pass on. And funny enough, now, if you've been following me from the very start, you know that one of the biggest trade that I've done at the very beginning of this walkthrough or playthrough was with the Islanders to get Brian McCabe. I was pretty excited about that because they really didn't ask for much. So now the Islanders offered me Anders Lee for Justin Abdelkader. Now, Justin Abdelkader is 25. He's, a star and a half, and he's a 2-star potential, but he never really could make it into my lineup. And now I'm getting Anders Lee, who he's only a 2-star potential, so we'll see if he develops beyond that or anything like that. But he did score 31 goals in the AHL last season, so pretty happy to get Andersley on board. He's the type of player that I like. So, and he's 4 years younger than Abdelkader too. So we'll see if and when he can make an impact on the team. Now, of course, beloved Daniel Alfredsson decided to retire, so he is not going to be there anymore. Martin Brodeur also retired. He was 40 years old and still a 3-star player. And of course, New Jersey is retiring his number. Now, the Kings are going to see Kimmo Timonen retire as well. He was 37 years old and a 1.5 stars. Not there anymore. Brian Rolston with New Jersey also retired, 39 years old, 1.5 stars. And they are going to unofficially retire his number. Corey Stillman in Detroit also retired. He was 38 and still a 2-star player. Oh, I forgot to delete that email there. Christian Heroff donates time and money to cancer research. So, becoming a better person, plays in Pittsburgh. Scott Clemenson decided to retire as well. He was only 34, a 1.5 star player. So he won a cup with Chicago, and he was like, all right, that's it for me. I'm good. All right, and Jean-Sébastien Giguère retired as well. He was 35 and a 1-star player. They are retiring his number. And St. Louis decided to go with Steve Yzerman as their new GM. So there wasn't a news of a firing of their GM. So I think what happened is that their GM retired and there wasn't a news for it. And now Steve Yzerman is going to be the boss there. Now I mentioned players joining me. It's really just one. So Cole Schneider is going to be joining the Sens as a free agent. Alright, and now we're gonna get to see a couple more things. Alright, so those are the players that I have offered contracts to as part of them being 20 years old. So Ryan Dzingel should be familiar with him. Robin Lehner should be familiar with him too. Marcus Sorensen. Sometimes I forget that he was a Sens draft pick, but he was. Max McCormick has a pretty high potential, but then again, he's more of a defensive forward, and those tend to be a little bit overvalued in this game. And finally, a guy you might have heard of, somebody named Mark Stone. So, yeah. So those guys are going to be joining the team. So that puts me at 50 contracts, which means that if you look here, there's 4 guys on waivers. Scott Lawton shouldn't be eligible for waivers at 18. Grigorenko, 18. Stefan Matteau. And then Tom Wilson, which is probably the guy I would have picked if I had a contract slot. But I do not, so... yeah. Alright, so it looks like the Jets are still going to be in the East. I forgot how long they stayed in the East. It could have been only 2 years. I don't quite remember. Sorry about that. My memory is a little fuzzy. Alright, so we are going to move forward and then see what's going on here. Alright. Oh, I have another trade proposal, this time from Buffalo. Okay, so Robin Lehner was thinking about signing Mark Stone, Sorensen, Dzingel, McCormick. Alright, and then the Sabres are offering me Daniel Catenacci for Nick Drazenovich. Oh dear God. Does he really have 3.5 star potential? I mean, I barely heard of that guy. I mean, at this point, he's 19. He might develop a little bit. It would be dumb for me to not make the trade. So I'm going to go ahead and trade Drazenovich to the Sabres for Catenacci and see if he develops even if he develops as a 1.5 star player, that's more than Drazenovich. So we're going to go ahead and make that trade. There you go. Small trade by all accounts. Alright, new players are getting used to their new environment. Robin Leonard signed. Max McCormick signed. Now those guys want numbers. Yes, you can have number 40. That's fine with me. Yes, you can have 89. That's also fine for me. There you go. Alright, Bergeron, as you remember, Bergeron fell in the playoffs, and that really hurt us. So he's starting to feel better. Marcus Sorensen signed. Ryan Dzingel signed. And you can get 18. There you go. Bunch of happy people. Alright. Alright, Bergeron almost ready. Mark Stone is ready, and he wants number 61, of course. That's the number he wore. There you go. Alright. Alright, so we're going to be starting preseason kind of late. I guess the regular season starts a little bit later than usual this year, so we're going to play preseason at the end of September. So our signings are done. I cannot go after any free agents. I'm maxed out on contracts. I might need to stop being so generous with my contract renewals, because my hands are tied. I can't do much. I want to check something here. Yep, that's what I thought. There you go. Woohoo! Bergeron is healthy, finally. As usual, not a whole lot going on during the offseason, although there's been a trade. So the Stanley Cup champions are being active, and now they traded again. They traded with the team that they faced in the finals. That's pretty interesting. So Peter Budaj is going to Philadelphia for Nick Cousins. Alright, so I guess the Flyers get a decent backup for Bobrovsky. I mean, Budaj as a backup is not a bad goaltender, so that's not a bad trade at all. Now, is Nick Cousins going to reach potential in my game? I don't know. In real life, he didn't do much of anything. Alright. Yeah, Sharaska is starting to lose a little bit of an edge there. Alright, so Chris Chelios got in the Hall of Fame. I voted for him. Selene gets in the Hall of Fame. I voted for him. Curtis Joseph got in the Hall of Fame. I didn't vote for him. And Joe Nieuwendyk got in the Hall of Fame. I voted for him. Now, the guy that I voted for instead of Cujo was Patrick Roy, but I guess he's not going in the Hall of Fame this year. Alright, so August starts, and it's probably going to be slow. So Vili Peltonen attends a leadership seminar. So he's going to be more of a leader. Peltonen is 39, and he's still a 2-star player, though. So still able to put some points, I would presume. It's pretty quiet in the league. Well, in real life, in a non-COVID world, August is usually pretty quiet too. Oh, there's been a trade between Washington and Anaheim. Matt Hendricks and Joe Finley are going to Anaheim for Dan Sexton. Yeah, not a big trade. Not a trade that's gonna go as a... that's gonna be considered a blockbuster, that's for sure. There hasn't been a blockbuster trade in a little bit. It's been a while. I like those. I like when big name players move. Because they do in real life sometimes. Zacharson moved in trade between... Okay, so Montreal and Anaheim made a trade. Oh. So Adam Henrique is going to Montreal. Along with Brian McGrattan. So former Ottawa Senator Brian McGrattan. For Patrick Zachrickson. I haven't even heard of him. And Ryan White, wow. The Montreal yet again fleeced another team in a trade. That's crazy. Montreal is already pretty good, and they keep making really good moves, and they keep staying good. Adam Henrique is a pretty decent center, 22 years old. He's a 2-star talent right now, potential of 4. Yeah. I don't like to see Montreal get better. Oh, Montreal is offering me a trade. Oh boy, they're probably trying to fleece me. They're probably trying to get Patrice Bergeron for a bad player. I can't think of anybody that they have right now that would be really bad. All right. They want to trade me Andre Kostitsyn for Zach Smith. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna keep Zach Smith. Kostitsyn is already starting to decline there. I don't want to give a guy like Zach Smith to Montreal. I don't want for him to come and, play hard against me while I have a lazy player on my team that's in the minors not doing anything. Alright, so those are starting to trickle back in, the scouting reports. Oh, alright, so the Islanders then turn around and traded Abdelkader to Edmonton. Wow, I'm curious to see what they got for that. Alright, so Abdelkader goes to... oh, wow, okay. Alright, so the Islanders got Jeff Petrie and Tyler Bunz. So Petrie, yeah, for Justin Abdelkader and Mike Almo. That's a pretty interesting trade. So basically, the Islanders sent us Anders Lee for Abdelkader, then they flipped him for Jeff Petrie. Decent trade. Not a superstar move, but a decent trade nonetheless. I like trades like that. Alright, so in 18 days we are going to start preseason. Alright. We're getting there, I promise. Alright, 7 days. So in a week, we're gonna start preseason. God, it's so annoying to get those scouting reports every day. I really wish they would just combine them like a once a month thing, or even like once a week. I would be fine. Alright, so that's the part of the video that sucks. I am going to recall everybody for preseason. No, I have a spot or two on D now, so somebody needs to play well. Pat Maroon. Oh, sorry, as usual. I'm not speaking much. I'm just very tediously going through everybody that I have in ear. Alright. Yay, finally, everybody's been recalled. And now it's all the numbers. Alright, so Nino Niedritter gets number 26. Jared Cowan gets number 2. That's the number he wore when he was in Ottawa. Kaspar Dagelins wants number 16. That's not happening, so you get 56 for now. Alright, everybody wants 22. You can't all have number 22. There you go. You get to have your number. Yay. Alright. Maroon gets number 14. Alright. Now everybody wants 19. Yeah, I'm just giving random numbers. Oh, you can have 49, that's fine. Isn't Hendersley wearing number 27? He is, but it's taken. Pretty sure he's wearing 27 with the Islanders. Alright, yay! Finally we can move on. Alright, so there's that. Alright, so preseason officially starts. We're going to be playing in Philadelphia for the first preseason game that we have. We're going to go ahead and take a look, see if the Flyers have done any other moves other than Peter Budaj. So let's see. No injuries. Oof, that D looks pretty scary. Pretty scary if you're a Flyers fan. So Bobrovsky and Budaj in net, so that's good. I mean, you don't necessarily want your backup to also be a 5-star player and pay him like that, so a 2-star goaltender for a backup is pretty good. And then on D, that's kind of scary. So Adam Pardy and then Simonin, but not Kimo. Mark Fistrick, Alexandre Picard. It's Richie Regier, I think, that yeah, Richie Regier, Mike Komisarek, and that's your D there. That's not good. Right, on forward we have Ari Zolnarchuk, Mats Zuccarello, James Van Riemsdyk, Nico Kapanen, Mason Raymond, Simon Gagné, Martin St. Louis, Sean Couturier, Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, Matt Reed, Claude Giroux, Darryl Powell, Craig Smith, and TJ Oshie. So up front, really good. In net, really good. That D is terrible. Probably why they couldn't beat the Blackhawks. Alright, so we're going to have Brian Elliott in net for that game. Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be in net for Philly. And we lost 3-1. Alright, not a good start. Philadelphia outshot us 22-19. Adam Pardy was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Zdeno Chara was the second star with a goal. And Darryl Powell was the third star with a goal as well. So Philadelphia scored twice in the first period, then we reduced the lead to just one goal with Zdeno Chara scoring from Drew Doughty. It was 2-1 Flyers after one. There was a fight also in the first period, really early in the first. Mark Fistrick and Zdeno Chara got at it. And then Philadelphia scored in the third period as well, made it 3-1, and of course that's the final score today. Oh, yay, Erik Karlsson is hurt already. A broken nose. Okay, don't say for how long, but it's a day-to-day injury. Then Kaspars Dagevans is a center now, apparently. Alright, so Karlsson is day-to-day with a broken nose. Open ice leads to a productive night for Sergei Mozyakin. Still doing pretty good in Columbus. He had 4 assists against Boston. Alright, I'm gonna write that down as usual. There you go. I don't want to be over the cap. I think I'm going to be fine, but, you know, writing it down is not a bad idea. Alright, and now we are going to host the Phoenix Coyotes as part of preseason again. Let's see how good or not they are. Alright, so, oh god. Oof, the goaltending is terrible. Not a good start. Alright, so Matt Climie and Marek Langhammer are the goaltenders. They are both an alpha star. Then on D we have Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Shane Morrison, Nick Ross, Timo Laxo, Chris Summers, and Michael Stone. Not a great D either. Up front we have Kevin Porter, but he's suspended. Then Blake Wheater, Daniel Briere, Patrick Nokalainen, Kyle Turris, Jacob Klepish. Is that Connor Brown? Chris Brown. Mikhail Budker, Martin Avlat, Kolarek, Reed, Dupuis, Winnick, McLean, and Oscar Muller. There's a few interesting pieces up front. There's Oliver Ekman-Larsson on D, and then, wow, that team is not good. Alright, Matt Climie in net. We're going with Antiniemi. And we won 3-0. We got outshot 36-19. Antiniemi was the first star of the game, of course. 36 saves, the W and shutout. Joe Thornton was the second star with a goal and 2 assists, and Patrick Werkach was the third star, with a goal and an assist. 14,525 people in attendance for this game. So we scored first in the first period. Patrick Werkach scored from Maxime Sauvé and Joe Thornton. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then we added 2 in the second period. Joe Thornton scored from Martin Ansel and Patrick Werkach, and then Martin Ansel on the power play from Joe Thornton and Eric Greiba. 3-0, and that was the end of that. Nobody else scored. And a little shout out here in preseason. Of course, it doesn't count for stats, so it doesn't really matter. Casey Wellman in Calgary had a great game. He had a hat trick against Philadelphia. Took better advantage of their weak D than we did. And now we're turning around and hitting the road to go and play against the team that eliminated us in the playoffs last year, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Alright, so let's see if they changed some since we faced them. So Marc-Andre Ferré and Josh Harding in net. Christian Eroff, Goligoski, Jake Muzzin, Harrington, Joe Morrow, Brooks Arpic, Jeff Finger, Alex Grant, and I have no idea who you are, Carl Sneap are on D. So there's a couple decent defensemen. Jagger, Selleck, Cook, Crosby, Mitchell, Malkin, Stahl, Desharnais, Patrick Sharp, Blake, Bennett, and Malone up front. It's still a pretty decent team. So we're going back to Antiniemi, and we're going to face Josh Harding. And we lost 3-0 this time. So, because in preseason I bring up everybody and I have, players that are not necessarily all that strong playing, and that the computer always have as their best lineup against me. Anyway, so I lost 3-0 and I was outshot 38-5. Bo Bennett was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Yevgeny Malkin was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Christian Heroff was the third star with an assist. Eric Selleck and Zdeno Chara fought in the first period. And that's pretty much all I have to report. We had 5 shots on goal. I'm curious to see who got them at that point. I want to see. Alright, so Pietrangelo got a shot. Oh, I had a big contributor here. Drew Doughty had 2. Andersley had 1. And Jacob Silverberg had 1. There you go. Those are our shots on goal. Oh, there's been another trade. Montreal is active. So Rennie Bourque with Toronto is hurt for 6 months. Massive eye trauma. Wow. Alright, so Rennie Bourque not going to play much this season. Then there's a trade between Montreal and the Islanders. So Montreal gets Blake Como and Jeremy Colleton for Alexei Emelin and Andrew Bodnarchuk. I would say it's a pretty even trade. Emelin was a decent defenseman that was hitting pretty hard. Blake Como is kind of your prototypical third-line player that can, provide a little bit of offense. So I don't think there's a winner in that trade, per se. Alright, and now we are going to be facing the New Jersey Devils. So, yeah, let's take a look here. So, they lost 2 players to retirement. So, I wonder how it's going to look. Oh, God, that's terrible for Lou Lamoriello. Their outlook is to win now, but they have a weakness in net, a weakness at both D's and at center. So, it's going to be kind of tough. Alright, oh, yeah, it's different without Martin Brodeur in net there. So they have Ray Emery and Scott Wedgwood in net. On D, they have Bruno Gervais, Antti Salmela, Tyler Eckford, Adam Larson, Mike Lundin, and Mark Streit. So not that great. Patrice Cormier, Brian Giunta, Nick Palmieri, Spilo Floric, Nolan Giunta, Madden, Gomez, Bernier, Adischuk, Cleary, Parisi, Vermette, and Berg Fours up front. So it's okay up front, not too great, but it's okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a different team without Brodeur for sure. So Scott Wedgwood is going to be in net for the Devils. We're going back to Brian Elliott. And we won that 5-1. Zdeno Chara was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Eric Kondra was the second star with 2 assists. And Drew Doughty was the third star with a goal. We did outshoot the Devils 46-26. 13,697 people in attendance for this game. So Braden Chen opened up the scoring in the first period, assisted by Chris Kelly. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, New Jersey tied the game. And we went into the third period where we exploded for 4 goals. So Brooks Like from Zdeno Chara and Eric Kondra, David Legwan from Braden Chen and Zdeno Chara, Drew Doughty from Zdeno Chara and Eric Kondra, and finally Jason Spezza on the power play from Ryan Whitney. 5-1 the final score. Finally a game where we didn't look too bad. Good night for Evander Kane with the Blackhawks. He had a hat-trick against Phoenix, 3 goals. Sidney Crosby also has a great game against Calgary. He scored 3 goals. And Eric Carlson is doing better. He is day-to-day with his broken nose. And apparently Pietrangelo yet again is hurt. I might need to trade him. He's no use to me if he's always hurt. So we are now going to host the Florida Panthers. Alright. So Ryan Kessler is not going to be playing. He has dizziness and nausea. Alright, and in net it's Jacob Markstrom and Carter Hutton. J. Boomister on D with Carlo Kolayakovo, Douglas Murray, Jason Garrison, Eric Gottbranson, Mike Koska, and Alex Petrovich. It's an OKD. Garrison is hurt. He may or may not play. And then up front, newly acquired in real life, Ottawa center Yevgeny Dadonov. Oh, there's an I missing at the end of Yevgeny. He has 2 I's at the end of his name for some reason. So Yevgeny Dadonov, Tanner Glass Matmoson, Anthony Stewart, Jonathan Huberdeau, Greg Campbell, Tetsek, Frolic, Frolov, Horton, Ripik, Torres, Uzelius, and Oreskovic. Alright. It's a decent team, but not great. I don't know. They had a pretty good season last year. I don't know if they can repeat. So they're going with Carter Hutton. We're going to Antiniemi. And we won 2-0. We outshot the Panthers 49-11. Carter Hutton was the first star despite the loss. He made 47 saves. Peter Tetsek was the second star without any points. And Ryan Whitney was the third star with an assist. 12,884 people in attendance for this game. Alright, so the first of our 2 goals was scored in the first period from Patrick Eves, assisted by Ryan Whitney and Sam Gagner. 1-0 Sens. Then all the way to the third period, near the end of the third, Pavel Datsyuk scored from Petrus Bergeron and Jason Spezza, 2-0 at that point. There was a fight also between Zdeno Chara and Tanner Glass, but that was pretty much it. 2-0, the win. Alright, Erik Karlsson's almost recovered from his broken nose. Alright, so we have 2 preseason games left. So the next one is at home against the Rangers. Alright, so Karlsson is completely recovered. With a broken nose, he probably has like those big purple blackish spots around his eyes and everything. Probably looks like a raccoon. Alright, so Rangers are in town. Let's see what they look like. Alright, so they are set in net, of course. They have the King, Henrik Lundqvist, and Al Montoya, so that's pretty decent there. Michael Del Zotto, Curtis Foster, Volchenkov, Dennis Weidman, Mark Stahl, Matt Gilroy, Dan Girardi, and Fedor Tsurin on D. That D is decent. That's there's no superstar on that D, but there's no real weakness or crazy weakness or anything like that. Up front, they have Thomas Fleischmann, Laurie Korpikoski, Carl Hagelin, Piorala, Glenn Cross, Anisimov, Fisher, Jackman, Peters, Chichu, Purcell, Pisani, and Sharapanov. Yeah, I think the Rangers should make the playoffs with that team. And they have Mike Babcock as the coach, so I think so. I guess we're going to find out here. So Henrik Lundqvist in net for the Rangers. We are going with Antiniemi. We won 5-2. There you go. We outshot the Rangers 40-17. Erik Karlsson was the first star. He had 2 goals and an assist. Jason Spezza was the second star with 3 assists. And Patrick Weirkach was the third star with a goal. 14,328 people in attendance for this game. Erik Karlsson scored first in the first period from Derek Grant and Martin Ansel, and then Braden Shen scored on the power play from Erik Karlsson and Jason Spezza, and finally Karlsson scored again from Spezza and Petrus Bergeron. It was 3-0 Sens at that point. Near the end of the first, the Rangers did score, made it 3-1, Sens after 1. Then nobody scored in the second period. There were a whole bunch of penalties there for both teams. Everybody was very undisciplined, apparently. And then in the third period, nobody took penalties, and we got goals. Patrick Weirkach scored from Jason Spezza and Petrus Bergeron. Then Sam Gagner scored unassisted. And then 25 seconds later, the Rangers scored, made it 5-2, but we would hold our lead and win 5-2. Alright, Alex Pietrangelo might be starting to feel better already. And our last preseason game is in Pittsburgh against the Penguins. We already played them earlier in the preseason and lost 3-0 and got a wonderful 5 shots on goal. So let's see now what it looks like now that I'm going to have a little bit better players playing. Brian Elliott is going to be in net. He's going to face Josh Harding. And we won 7-3. Look at that. We look a little bit better with our better players. We outshot Pittsburgh 45-35. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Patrice Bergeron was the third star with a goal and an assist. Alright, so we took a 3-0 lead into the first period. Zdeno Chara scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza. Then Spezza from Eric Carson. And then Eric Condra from Braden Shen and Eric Carson. It was 3-0 at that point. Pittsburgh did score twice before the end of the period. And it was 3-2 Senators over the Penguins after 1. Then in the second period, the Pittsburgh actually tied the game, but then Pavel Datsyuk scored on the power play from Patrice Bergeron, and then Patrice Bergeron scored on the power play as well from Patrick Eves and Pavel Datsyuk. It was 5-3 after 2. Then finally in the third period, Jason Spezza scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Ryan Whitney from Braden Shen. It was 7-3. And that's how this game ended. A nice little game to end preseason here. We're going to go ahead and click here. Alright, so that concludes preseason. Obviously, not obviously, but as usual, I'm going to be looking at a few different things, including the salary cap, including who did well in the preseason and whatnot, to decide on my opening day lineup. That's going to be in Montreal against the Canadiens. So we're going to go ahead and do that in the next episode. Looks like it's not going to be a super busy month in October, so next video might be a little shorter. Depends on what all happens. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and save the game. And as usual, I do want to thank you for tuning in. If you've liked the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.